I'll do that.
Just
There we go.
there you go. Hi, everyone on Zoom. Thank you all for attending our course today on digital marketing for the holidays. Just really quick, I am going to give a quick overview of the folks who are in person have three flyers on their tables, and I will email this to you all as well. But we just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of BEDA Small Business Saturday offerings. If you are a business in the city of Bluefield, you can still register for our social media campaign, which is free. You do not have to be open the day of SBS for this. And you can also register to donate a prize. We give away lots of stuff for Small Business Saturday to incentivize the public coming out and shopping and dining. We give away Chick-fil-A for a year through Chick-fil-A Princeton. We give away Berken Herbert Bank actually donates some cash prizes, and then we do a huge local goodie basket. Next thing, we just have some marketing tips. Again, you will be sent this if you're joining online via email. And then the last thing we have is just the flyer to encourage folks to shop and dine and information on how they can enter to win. So just wanted to review that. You can check out the registration at mybluefield.org/SBS 2025. And then to find where to shop and dine the day of to win those prizes, head to mybluefield.org/SBS. So that is all. I'm going to hand over the workshop to Miss Roxy.
Hi. Hello. How are you guys? You're doing okay. Thanks. Is it Barbara? Is that right? I should have bought my glasses. But yes, so hopefully this is large enough on the screen for me to. I'm still getting transitioning. I guess you get to a certain age and you transition between. You should be able to see, and now everything looks kind of blurry. So anyway, I'm Roxy Turner. Welcome to Home for the Holidays Digital Marketing Workshop. I have a few slides a little bit about me, but hopefully we'll be able to cover some of the things that you're looking for as part of this workshop. Could you introduce yourselves if we can start over here? What was your name? Pat? Oh, okay. How about, and then Bob, is that right? Okay, great. Used to be earlier on in my career was did some real estate myself, especially when the children were little. So so it was nice to do that and learn about homes and house buying and everything that goes along with it. Well, welcome. Great. Well, thanks for coming. And then I didn't know if the people on the Zoom would like to introduce themselves as well. Even if they write something in the chat.
43 indecent proposals for request.
Okay. So this is a digital marketing workshop. What do you think you're here to learn? You know, or how, what would you like to? Okay, to your businesses. And I'll go through a lot of the gist of that, but never take away from the fact that when you're, especially people in this room, you're present, right? I think a lot of people use the digital marketing sphere as a crutch to think that they, like, you put a website there and people will just come. It doesn't work that way. And unless you have some kind of a local presence or at least a regional kind, it's very, very difficult to do well on the web. So I'm going to put that out there, especially after 2020, when everyone became in the digital space, just like we're now doing a Zoom meeting. We never had that before. Everyone, for the most part, showed up in person. So I want you to remember that people are going back to, hey, you might want to do a flyer again. You might want to do a postcard again. And even tech companies are going back to that because they can't get people into their offices. So keep that in mind, because you might start seeing things a little bit differently as the years go on. And especially with AI coming in, and I might cover a little bit of that too. You still have to, as a human, that connection, you still have to have it, because that's what beats those AI models. And even, I mean, getting on my way here, going in through Charleston, there's a lot of construction going on right now. It took me, I think I was stuck within 2 miles, 30 minutes in that traffic. And so, you know, I'm trying these different apps to say, hey, do I go this way? Do I go another way? But when you're stuck 30 minutes using one app, it's like you choose a different one. It takes me a different way. I'll go that other way. But it's also the fact that how many times you use Waze or Maps or Apple Maps or any of those others, and you know better how to get through a traffic jam than what that computer is telling you. So just remember, use AI as needed, or ChatGPT and these other functions, but never forget, like, the fact that you have a brain and you need to use it. Okay, so I'm just going to put that out there before we start. So this is just a little bit about me. I have a master's in political science and mathematics. Mathematics was my passion as well. And I did my bachelor's in maths and communication studies as well. I was a public speaking teacher at Marshall for a little while. Never had a class in my life, but I learned pretty early on that when I came here as a student and had to have somebody, at least Marshall, pay some of my tuition, I had to learn how to teach a class of 20, 30 kids, even though I was only a couple of years older than most of them. But that paid my way. But from there, I worked actually for a web development company because I had a maths background. So I became VP of that company in a few years, worked my way up. But I did a lot of quality assurance. We built custom software for a lot of companies that needed it, and content management systems as well. And when I had my children, went into a little bit of real estate, became part-time, and then wanting to learn how to get traffic to your website. So I became a professional blogger at that time and monetized everything that I had learned. And then from there, I also worked as a director of marketing and recruitment for Marshall. So I've traveled about 50, 55 countries in a couple of years. So I'm pretty well traveled. I always have connections around the world to see what sometimes is going on in other people's countries. I have good friends there too. And I also became VP of International Affairs at West Virginia State University. These are some of the clients that I've worked with. Remax in Hilton Head, Whirlpool Corporation. I was a trainer, corporate trainer for them, for Kellogg's as well. And then some of the others, I've been an adjunct professor for some. I still work with Marshall. I've worked with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 program. And I'm still teaching, actually, principles of marketing at West Virginia State. So currently, and Hatfield McCoy Trails pretty much gave me my start. So, and I know you have some trailheads here as well. So I've worked with Jeff Lusk. And then Quest Communications, which may not be around anymore, but that was based in Colorado, and Denver is where I visited. So see, these are some of the companies I worked with. And then JCPenney, we actually helped them with their rebranding. So I'm very well versed in working with larger companies, but my passion's always been in the small business world. And this is how I got started. It's kind of funny. I did a blog on Will and Kate when they got married. I'm from England originally, as you can tell, possibly with my accent, even though it's changed quite a lot, because when I go back to England, they ask me where I'm from. So now I'm sort of in between, but I don't really want to live in that big pond. Anyway, that's in between us. So when I kind of became part-time, I have two children. They're both teenagers right now. But this was back in, I think, 2011. They were just getting married. And I had a good friend that was he was a web side of things. He was in the web development side of things. And he was starting a few websites. And I said, and he's like, you want a blog site? And I said, yeah, let's do like Will and Kate Daily. So I launched it. I think I started around January. They got married around April. He was working on the web development side, putting the website together for me. And then I said, is it ready yet? Is it ready? He's like, well, do you have any content? No. Well, why don't you work on the content while I get the site ready? Well, he worked on the content. I think when I launched the site, I had about 20 blogs that I put out there as soon as I launched. Within that day, I had 5,000 likes just on that day. So that tells you a lot on the pertinency of what's in piece. So you can go to things like Google Trends to see what's trending. You can also go to see things like Reddit, if you've ever seen that. Quora is another one. But Reddit, like I said, Google Trends that tells you a little bit about the pulse of if you're trying to search for something to see what people are trying to doing, and you type in your search words, it will tell you a little bit about what's going on. And so it was the best thing I ever did was when I launched on their actual wedding. And then from there, my website grew. And I posted every single day. I never missed a day, even though I had two screaming kids at home. It took me used to take me hours to do a blog post. It got to the point where I was doing maybe 5 or 7 a day, and it would only take an hour. So you perfect your craft as you continue on. So about a year it took, but I had over 300,000 fans. And like I said, I monetized it and started learning how to get traffic to the site. And just to make sure that it wasn't a fluke, wasn't just something by accident, I did something completely opposite of Will and Kate, and it was called, and some of us probably remember Eminem. And so I launched a site called Eminem Nation, and within 4 months had 70,000 fans. And I just blogged is basically what I did. So whatever was out there on them, I wrote in my own style and was able to get people to the site and made money off of Google Ads. And Google AdSense is what it was called. And it still is, I think, today. So I actually have a blog site I mean, it's not there anymore, but it's because I took it off a couple of years later. But it was called willandkatedaily.com. And I also had a Facebook page that was also Will and Kate. And then the same with Eminem Nation. I had an eminemnation.com, which I would update. And then on my Facebook page, I would post the blogs and post them there as well. So that's how I started. This is a picture of my family recently when we went on a cruise for spring break. But my company's Matt, Alia, Roxy, and Zach. It's Matt Mars Strategy. So I named it after my family, really. So I became a trainer, consultant. I've been doing this for about 10 years now. I teach a lot of AI and SEO. Has anyone heard of something called GEO? Nope, you might hear it more so. It's actually replacing the SEO side. So it's generative, which means that it's a lot more detailed. We're now using a lot more speaking to our mobile phones, so much more that you have to be detailed and that much more detailed in whatever you provide your customers. I do web, social media marketing and teaching. And I also work in the international recruitment arena as well as being an ad consultant. So I help people on some of their Google ads, their Facebook ads, and I'm self-taught on that as well. Something to keep in mind for sure. It's an investment. When I started even blogging, I remember not having I was part-time. The kids were little. I had both my children. I mean, they're now 16, 17. So I had them back to back. Wasn't planned, but life's never goes the way you planned, right? So, but something to keep in mind at that time, and that is back in 2011, I spent $50 a day on my posts and on my advertising to get the people to my site. So the usual amount is around that much for a small business. So when people come to me and they say, well, I want to do some advertising, keep that in mind. It's always going to be around that. And 50 is a little bit on the higher end to some extent, but it's not going to be that much different to that. You might try on 30, you may try $1,000 a month, but that's how much is to actually start getting traction. Because people, like I said, it's like when you have a website and you build it, people think you're just going to come. People just going to find it. Doesn't work that way. And sometimes you're going to have to put some money into it in order to make it work. This is, it's called the Business Plan Canvas. And you may have seen it. I know the Small Business Development Center uses it, but you can actually just type it in into a Google search. And it's neat because when you put together a business plan, it's sometimes about this thick. It's got everything you've got in there, like a SWOT analysis and your weaknesses, your strengths, how you're going to market your business, how you're going to advertise it. What this does is it's all on one page, and then you can quickly go into that page and you can write in some notes about your business instead. So one of the things you do, especially, sorry, go ahead. Oh, the panel. One of the things you do too, and that makes you different, is you have to remember what is it that is unique about you and your company, and why should people use you? And you're going to have to portray that, whether it's through pictures, whether it's through videos, whether it's through content. But that's what you're going to have to portray every time you market something online or have that web presence online. And by the way, feel free to ask questions anytime, okay? Interrupt me as you like. But what makes you different? What's your USPs, your unique selling points? And who are you? And when did you get started? People do want to know some of those things. Oops. There we go. Why do customers purchase online? A lot of the time, 24/7, right? Sometimes, have you gone to a store and it's like it's not there anymore? They've ran out. Whether it's a hair product or something else that you're looking for, it's unique, maybe even to the place you're going to. So this is mainly the read, and it hasn't changed. Most people can make a purchase 24/7, save money and time, free shipping, and usually it's available online as well. Why is it they mostly buy on a certain website? It's because it's easy to find. The search, the navigation is right there. You can see. So if I go down this list, it's product ratings and reviews. How many times do you review before you even go to a restaurant anymore or try something new? Even a store that you're visiting. Fast and convenient checkout process. We all love that. The responsiveness of a site. How long do you think a website should take to load? Yeah, it's like half a second. It's quick. Do you remember those computers at one point when we were looking at using AOL and it would just come slowly down the screen and we just wait and wait. And now it's like we need it to come up within that. So if it's honestly, if it's more than a second or two, people go somewhere else. That's how, so your site needs to come up very, very quickly. So some of the demographics online, 75% of us, probably more now, more so, shop online at least once a month. 63% of us think with Google or Google AI. 70% of us each month buy something via a mobile phone and online. conversion rates used to be, before COVID, used to be anywhere from 3 to 5%, which means if 100 people came to your site, about 3 to 5% would buy something. Now, if 100 people came to your site, only about one purchases something. So if you don't have the traffic, it's the traffic that you're trying to work on to get them there, which is what I did when I was showing you the blog. Because when I increased those fans, I was getting traffic to my site. And then 9 out of 10 of us do not buy straight away. If you find something online, most of us are skeptical of it. Until we see that item 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, most of us will not buy the first time around. Why is it websites fail? What do you think? Yep, that's right. That's right. So a lot of the time they can't find it. It's not intuitive. So it's like you're looking for something and you've got to search and search so much to try and delve deep into it. So now when you're building a website, or if you're looking at your web page, the answers need to be up front. They shouldn't be digging for it. It needs to, because people are only on your site now for seconds. Used to be they'd be on there for minutes. They're not on there for minutes anymore. It's seconds. So it's maybe 10, 20, 30 seconds if they're really searching. But if they don't find what they're looking for within those seconds, they will move on to somewhere else. You need to be transparent in the transaction. Sometimes there's no investment that's been put in to that marketplace that's online. Have different channels. When you sell something, if I was building something or making something at home, maybe it was a unique wreath, for example. Where's one of the first places you think of that I should sell it? Etsy, right? Etsy is a good place to sell it. Especially because it's kind of artsy and I've got it on there. And it's a unique item. But nothing stops you. Now, if I get to the point where I'm making 20 of them a day, where would be a good place to sell it? Now that they're all looking the same. What's that? You could try, or you could do it on eBay, or you could do it on some other, like even some other list that you could put it on. So there are other avenues out there. So if you're trying something and want to know whether it works, nothing stops you. You don't have to build your own site. You don't have to have your own web page. You can slowly start that somewhere else. You can even have a Facebook page and try it that way and share it with your friends, right? So there's different channels, and then work out what would be the best one for you, especially. And then, of course, social media, it's not present there. And then, of course, bad customer service as well. So customers leave because sometimes shipping costs are too high. The discount code doesn't work. Orders take forever to ship. I remember when COVID happened and, we all bought, say we bought something on Amazon, and didn't it take months sometimes to get something? Most of us would cancel our order. So these are, like I said, most of the time, the reasons that extra costs that we didn't foresee. Some of the top popular websites right now, and in fact has been this way for a very long time. Target, Amazon, and then you've got Walmart over there. Is there something, when you look at these, you can actually tell, don't they kind of look the same? They've got a sort of like a banner at the top. This one has a little bit larger with Target. But if we even swapped some of the logos out, you couldn't really tell, right? And that's because it works. So people when they build their websites, and remember I told you I was with a web development company, you can get very cute with building a website, but it doesn't work for you. Most people are used to whatever they're used to. If you custom develop or custom build, and you want to maybe get unique in how you do things, just remember when it comes to the web, don't get custom. Just stick with what works. You've got your navigation at the top. You've got your search bar at the top. and then you've got your products that you're selling underneath. So you don't have to make it too difficult to work with. And then, like I said, with the wreath, these are ways that you can sell online. So Amazon is a really good tool. But remember, how much do you think people, so if I sold that wreath for $10, how much do you think I would walk away with? Yeah. Yep. For the most part, it wouldn't be very much, two, maybe three, but it wouldn't be very much. So when it comes to selling on Amazon, unless you sell big and large numbers, it's very, very difficult to do well on those sites because there's fees. Not only are there fees just to be on the site, there's fees for visibility, there's fees for advertising, there's fees for being listed there. There's also the, what is it? I think they call it SBA or something like that, where they ship it for you. They ship the item for you, and then there's fees to stay in their warehouse. So if your item hasn't sold, there's fees for that as well. So keep that in mind, fulfillment fees that you've got as well, that they do for you. eBay is actually, again, it's that $10 model. You can probably walk away with 4 or 5 when it comes to eBay, when you sell your item. And then Etsy is probably very, very similar to that. It's good to have a local SEO or local search engine presence, basically. Do you all have Google business profiles? Yep, you do. So you do, right? So Google, so whenever you start a business or even if you're you're an accounting company or you're a bookkeeper, whatever, if there's a service that you do and it's really just yourself, create a Google business profile. Go ahead, just go to business.google.com. You'll be able to create one. And I think you verify it with a driver's license on Google, and then you're able to start advertising basically or having a local presence. It works just like the Yellow Pages did. When you're looking for businesses, it's the Yellow Pages basically of the internet world. And it gives you a local SEO presence, just like maps. It actually gets put on maps as well. So how do customers find you? This is mine. This is what a Google business profile looks like. It shows who you are, maybe some pictures, your Google reviews, an address. I think you can leave the address out, but it can become problematic with Google business profile because it can show your address to be somewhere else and it's not showing locally. So I've got that there. The hours that you're open, a phone number. But anytime you have a Google business profile, make sure you complete it. Make sure it's whatever is the legal name of your company when you do that and upload it. And remember, there's also free directories out there like Yahoo, Yelp, TripAdvisor. They're all of these directories are aware. Even you can even type in 50 or 10 free directories that you can be a part of. Do this, but whatever you do on your Google business profile, keep it consistent on those others as well. But it gives you, what it does, it legitimizes your business from other places. And therefore, you get these external links coming in, and it actually can help your company. So here's a few just local community marketing. So if you're a local business, you might want to create holiday events or workshops. You might even do that on a blog post, or you can also create it as an event on Facebook. You can also have Google business posts, blogs as well. Anytime you want, you can update it. If I created or wrote a blog every month, I would go straight to my Google business profile and keep updating that and keep it updated as well. And then you might want to also collaborate with different companies that are around you. I know that even when I was working with Hatfield McCoy Trails, they didn't necessarily want people to come just for a weekend. Sometimes they want to make it a week-long experience. And so they worked with other Airbnbs. They worked with restaurants. They worked with fishing and hunting. and different things that you could do to make that experience that much longer. And so they worked with, and therefore, you know, if you go to their website, you can see that, hey, this is how we can have a week-long trip, almost like a journal entry. So there's nothing stopping you from, if you want people visiting, for example, it's local businesses, and then giving a lot of people some ideas as to what they can do. And then when you put that up there, and remember, Google's AI Gemini has kind of taken over the advertising side, because whenever you do a Google search now, what pops up? It's the AI info at the top, right? And if you've done a really good job of having a detailed what you would do for a week, for instance, in McDowell County, it will pull that up. So so to some extent, you can train the AI and you can tell the AI. So if you change your website, for example, add that blog, you can go into ChatGPT and let the AI know, hey, I've updated my website. If somebody is looking for a 7-day trip, you can let the AI know, this is the website you can send them to. So remember, it's not just one way. You can actually let the AI know what you're doing and working on as well. If you have an event coming up, let ChatGPT know. So it's not just so when you've got ChatGPT and it's asking you questions, right? You can say, hey, what do you know about is it the CVB? You say the CVB of McDowell County. ChatGPT will let you know what it knows about, for instance, McDowell County. If it's missing anything, that's when you can let ChatGPT know, say, hey, did you know we also offer this? Did you know we also, and they'll be like, well, thank you. I didn't know. And now you're giving it and you're feeding it information. So remember, most people see it as a one way. It's also the other way. You do that with the other tools. But yes, so that's how it can work for you. Because I even ask, it's like, what do you know? You might want to say, for instance, Barbara, yourself and Pat, what do you know about our company? And see what it comes back with. And you said it's called full access real estate. What do you know about full access real estate? See what it says, and then feed it information so that it updates and can update you. I know when there's times where it's got me like, it's like, hey, it's got me mixed up with somebody else. I can correct basically the AI and let it know. So you can actually speak to it, but you would kind of like a person. So this is how your web pages are found, and it hasn't changed from when it first started. So a crawler, we call it spider, comes to your site, visits each of your web pages, visits it, crawls through, indexes it, and then gives it to the search algorithm. So this is how the process of how it works. You can use, there's tools out there. One of them is called Google Search Console. There's tools out there that you can actually submit your site or give it a sitemap. Sitemaps are still good. Make sure that whenever you have a web developer or somebody that's in your web, that's working on your website, for example, that you still have sitemaps on the web. So the old things that used to work still work to this day. Your business could be made up of a service business, or it could be a product business. And Google, no matter what, is still one of the biggest companies out there. There's others like DuckDuckGo, Brave, Yahoo, and Bing. But for the most part, Google is still ahead of most other search engines. But remember, Facebook has become a search engine. Yelp has become its own. Reddit is its own. So each of these tools are now kind of becoming their own search engine as well. So GEO is generative EO, or engine optimization. So it's the next phase. This is the next phase of SEO. what it means is that you anticipate the questions to answer in detail and quickly from the people coming to your website, and you give it and you deliver it. Whatever information you want to deliver to them, you do make it as detailed as possible. It's a conversation. Used to be that whenever you ask ChatGPT something, it was like a 70% overlap between that and Google. No longer is. It's about 20%. So it's doing its own thing now, more so than what Google is delivering to you. Make your format, especially on your sites, a bulleted list, so it's easy to find, it's quick, it's numbered even. And then you have frequently asked questions where you've got hundreds of questions being answered quick. And then there's something called schema markup, which is if you've got a web programmer or web developer, that person can put that onto the website as well. It just makes looking for items in your website that much easier to find. And then be more specific. So it's a Subaru reliable versus you're going to actually, I'm buying a Subaru. Which one is more reliable? Is it the Outback? Is it the Forester? Is it the Crosstrek? What is more? So now you're getting to the point where it's not, if your frequently asked questions is going to be and get to be as detailed as possible, that's when the ChatGPT picks up on your site and can deliver the information. So your web presence, be clear, concise, and demonstrate what they call, in fact, Google calls this EAT, experience or expertise, and expertise, authority and trust, because that's what you're building on your website. Like I said, most of us don't buy straight away. You have to see that item several times. Somebody then tells you about it, then you start buying, then you start purchasing as well. On your landing page, you want to make sure that your banners are timely. Your gift messaging options are on there. The holiday landing page or mini gift guide is basically optimized for SEO, and your ads are as well. Frictionless checkout, so it's fast, and trust signals as well. When can it arrive by? And because we're a small business, something you do need to keep that in mind. Being a small business, there's a lot that we can't get away with that most bigger companies can. Seasonal SEO, so optimize, update, and use. So optimize your blogs. You might want to look at even posts that you've done that are old. You might want to look at and update them. Nothing stops you from doing that because you've now basically touched that page, updated that site. That's one of the biggest reasons, like where your social media comes up before sometimes you see how your social media pops up before your web page and it comes up at the top. Is because there's more interaction on that than there is on your web page itself. There's email marketing as well. I know that I've worked with companies and unfortunately their Facebook no longer works for them. So they've been relegated. They've got to use email blasts instead. It happens. And so if that's the case, make sure you're not just sending spam to a lot of, because how many of us get 10, 20 emails each morning with something spam? You're just never going to buy from them because so if you are going to be sending out email sequences or e-newsletters or anything via an email, make it so that it's pertinent. And then they only expect it, say that once the first day of the month or once every quarter. And whatever is on that is pertinent at that time. Yeah. Yeah, that you work with, and nothing's wrong too. A lot of people don't utilize the events within Facebook, that they've got an upcoming event there, and then you can, if you want to boost that post, there's something you can do where you can boost it as well. But again, when you do pay for advertising, I'm going to ask just a generic question. When you advertise, how long do you, if you've got an event happening and it's say December, we're now what, November 12th, 11th? Um, but say we have it in a month, how long should you advertise for? Say we've got something going on December 15th. About 30, 60 days. So a lot of people, for the most part, think that it's like, well, it's a week or two. I can just do this for a week. No, it's a good amount of time. The basically you don't start getting traction until 3 or 4 weeks. So it takes a while before you start getting traction on your website. So if you don't see anything within a couple of weeks, don't think that something is wrong. As long as you're getting people viewing it and seeing it, the algorithm takes about 3 to 4 weeks before it starts working, especially when you're advertising on Google Ads, Google or Facebook, or any of the other platforms as well. So that's, and Facebook ads, what I basically did and started on. What do you think the main difference between advertising on Facebook and advertising on Google? What's that? Is limited on Facebook more so. Yes, actually, that's very good reply. So you're limited a little bit with Facebook. Facebook, for the most part, is for branding. Because you don't necessarily, if you want to buy something, you'll go to Google, right, to do a search. And you'll look on the shopping area, for example. You don't necessarily do that on Facebook. Facebook, you'll go through your feeds, and then if it knows you're looking for something or you've typed it into a search or something like, then it will pop up with an ad. So then if you start looking at it that way, Facebook is to brand. It's actually getting your brand out there. It's locally branding so that people know that you're there. Google on the other way is the other way. It's the searcher intent. You're absolutely looking for, like, I'm looking for a restaurant. I'm looking to buy a shoe. I'm trying to buy clothes. Whatever it is, I need something for the house, an ornament, whatever it is, you'll look on that for Google, but you won't do that on Facebook. So there's the difference between the two. So when you sell or when you have advertising, that's when you use branding, and then that's when you use Google for selling. And that's really the difference between the two. And then, so there's paid ads that you can do seasonally, and you can do it on both platforms. But if you keep that in mind, one is for branding, the other one is actually where you're truly selling something. You've got all these different platforms to choose from. And, they have that saying, it's like especially with the people buying from you, fish where they fish. So stay on the platform, go on the platform that most of your customers are going to be on. I work a lot with entrepreneurs all over the country. One in particular I remember was selling jewelry, and she in her 20s, but she was selling jewelry that, for the most part, I think just a small piece like earrings would be $100, $200. So they're handmade, they're always unique, they're one of a kind. She worked mainly in silver and gold pieces as well. And she had more Instagram followers than she had Facebook followers. And so I remember when I met with her, I said, where do they buy? Like, who are your customers? And she's like, well, I've got thousands of people on Instagram, and I've maybe a couple hundred on Facebook that I have. I'm like, but who are buying from you? Is it the Insta? She's like, well, they're not buying. It's mainly the Facebook. And it's like, well, you've got to change that and move it more to Facebook, because people on Facebook are more likely to be able to afford your jewelry versus the people that are on Instagram. So, and at that time, more so, I think there was more kids on Instagram than there is today. 20s are now using it more, but you've got to remember, who are you marketing to? And so it's not until she sort of shifted a little bit of her time to Facebook that she started selling a lot more of her jewelry, and that it was coming, and whether she did it via reels or whether she did it with posts, but But it's now to the stage where if I ask her where people are buying, it continues to be Facebook and not on the Instagram side, because who can afford your jewelry? Pinterest is still viable. I don't think it's very much as it used to be. I mean, it hardly comes up now when you do a search as well. So it's not so much. Let me go back, see if there's anything else. And then, like I said, optimize for the mobile. Always make sure when you go to your website that it looks good on the mobile phone. It's easy to read it, but it's also easy to push on certain buttons within it as well. Link building. And that's when I talked about directories. So here are some of the free directories that you can be a part of. So Jasmine, Yellow Pages, Yahoo, Yelp. I think even Apple has Apple Business Connect that you can be on Apple Maps. So all of these allow you access to have external links. And basically what they do is they endorse your company. So when people are doing a Google search for you and you've got your listings on these as well, you've got all these as external links and they've endorsed your company as well. Here's some marketing tools. How do you look after some of your websites? Do you use Wix? Do you use WordPress? WordPress, is it easy to use? That uses it? Yep. But she uses WordPress. So people used to create a lot more custom software. Wix and WordPress are probably your most used or popular. Shopify, of course, if you've got products that you're selling. WooCommerce is another. And of course, there's also things like Canva, Weebly that people use to create your website as well. But it takes time to build your own site. And that's why I say use some free tools that's out there already. If you're looking to build your website or start a company, it's always better to see what's out there first. Create your Google business profile, use things like eBay or Etsy and do those and see what type of traffic you get before you start building your own, because it can be very, very timely, but it also can be very costly as well. And then these are different payment processes that you can use. What became famous are things like Samcart, especially during COVID. It was that one-page website that you just have one page and everything's on there. It's their products is on there, their reviews are on there, their videos are on there, everything. And so Samcart is one of those that became very easy for a lot of people to use. It had shipping connected to it. They integrated other software to it as well. So these channels are out there. And I think Samcart became like $30, $50 a month to use, to just have that one product that gives you a web page. I think it's a year-long contract that you sign for that one. So who are your customers? Knowing your audience, your customer demographics is again very important, because you want to know who's visiting your website. How long are they staying for? You can probably guess, when I had my Will and Kate blog, what do you think came more, women or men? Women, right? What do you think the women were looking for? The dresses. It became about really, and I thought, when I first started my blog, as naive as I was, I thought they would, about their charity work or whatever it is that people know. It became about her dresses. So when I blogged, so a year later when I was blogging, it was all about her fashion sense. Even though I didn't really know much about fashion at that time, I had to change my blogs. I had to learn about it. I had to see what was on other newspapers, what she was wearing that day, where else she was going. They would wanted to know everything about Kate. So really, it was no longer Will and Kate Daily. It really just should have been Kate Daily. So know where they're coming from. This is a really fantastic tool. So if you have, Jennifer, if you have the web designer, make sure that you are connected to something called Google Search Console. What that does, when you log into Google Search Console, tells you what keywords people are searching for and how they actually got to your website. So what did they type in a Google search? Because you want to know that, right? How did they find you? And then when you have that information, make sure that you add it to the content of your web pages. It used to be in analytics. It's not there anymore. It's a program called Google Search Console. Okay, so if you do that, it will ask you to sign in and can create an account, but have your web person do it, because it used to be that it was easy for a marketing person to do it. I think unfortunately when the tech companies got rid of a lot of their employees, remember Microsoft got rid of a lot of theirs, Google did too. What has happened is they've not made it easy for marketing people to connect to these sites anymore. So you're going to have expertise from web programmers to get it set up correctly. Otherwise, Jennifer, if you tried, you'll be waiting for hours to try and get it to work. But that's a really neat tool. Analytics used to have that information, doesn't anymore. You can also go into something called Ad Center to see how well so when I worked, for instance, with Jackson County Development Center, and they were selling, I think, Live Edge, like tables, chairs. They were making clocks and things like that. We were able to see how their ads were doing and how much engagement they had. And it's a place called Ad Center, is what you use within Facebook. And so analytics has now become something called GA4. Everything has become an event. And then make sure to have your web person or your web designer create those events, because you want to know things like how many people clicked on the holiday event that I've got going on, how many people clicked on the Hatfield McCoy Trail event that's going on, and they're coming in from your website. That way, whenever you meet anyone, the executive director, for instance, with Hatfield McCoy Trails, you can say, did you know we sent you 5,000 visitors the other, you're able to give them that information. You can review ad performance too within Facebook. And then here's some of the items that you might want to do. You might do 12 days giveaways. You might do an Advent style calendar promotion that you do each day before Christmas, for example. You can do user generated content. And remember, I work with another company in St. Albans, and what she does, they fix bent tires is what they do. So bent wheels, bent tires and things, how many times have you hit the rims, for example. So that's what she does. But what she has whenever you visit, especially before anyone comes, is she has discount codes right there. So it's somebody that comes into her shop, she's got discount codes right in her store when anybody comes in. So you might do things like that when somebody comes into your store. You can use Reels, TikTok, stories that you have within Facebook, and then you can collaborate with others as well. And sometimes, I know my sister, in fact, in England, she's an influencer, so she, sells products on behalf of other companies. I think she had her teeth whitened recently. So the dentist's office, she didn't have to, she basically goes in and then she had it straightened as well. She is an influencer. She has 100,000 people that follow her. As a result of that, she's at the dentist's office. Well, what if we did that for you? No charge, no cost, but anytime you post, you've got those followers about the dentistry place that she's in. So you've got all these influencers out there to choose from as well. There's a really neat website. It's called Fiverr, Fiverr. If you've ever used it, you can see if you're looking for something like that, influencers even, you can look at a website like that one. There's another one in the web programming space called Upworks. That's another one that you can. Upworks is a little bit more detailed of work that you're looking for. So Upworks is another one as well. Reviews are really important. Reviews, testimonials, extremely important for your web, in the web world. People, so make sure whenever you, remember I just told you about Google Business Profile. If you have a Google Business Profile, keep working on reviews. Continue to keep working on reviews, no matter what. If there's no, if anything, even with the company that got turned off on its Facebook, and unfortunately it was a gun store. So even it's like you can't sell guns, of course, on a Facebook web page, or a Facebook page. And so, and they also make it where you don't know if you've broken a rule or not broken a rule, and sometimes they've got bots that work behind the scenes, or AI that works behind the scenes. There's no human. So it can be like that. The way that he really has traffic now is really through his reviews. He's got hundreds, if not thousands, of people coming in through his reviews, and he gives them a discount there in the store when they write a review. So that's the way, and he's actually done very, very well for somebody that got turned off from Facebook, and he probably had about 10,000 fans on that site and lost a lot of customers through it. He built up his business again by doing the best in terms of reviews. And make sure you try and keep your customer as much as you can. So be social, ask customers for reviews and feedback. People will do that, especially if they're right there at the time. Post content, photos, LinkedIn. You know, anytime you have some event going on, make sure you have it on every platform that you work on and work in. Promote, like I said, Google Ads, Facebook ads. Return customers are some of your best ones. So try and keep the ones. It's 5 times the amount to go get a new customer versus keeping the old one. And then if you can, be different, stand out from the crowd. One of the biggest things you do when it comes to social media is gain as much fans as you can. That gives you the engagement. It allows you to keep any advertising costs low, and then can generate sales as a result. And your objective is really doing well, not only locally in the business community, but doing well through your Google business posts, events, making sure people know that you have it, and then doing joint giveaways, maybe with other companies that you work with as well, or organizations that you work with. Retention and loyalty. You might want to offer early access to certain things. For example, I know that when like a restaurant comes in, they do early access for certain, or, they do some kind of a get together for people that they know, just to create that buzz. You can do exclusives. And then, of course, you can encourage referrals by giving them, give $10 to get $10 this holiday season. So really, when it comes to digital marketing, promote and market your brand. Content will always be king. It's what you have on your website. Just make sure it's easy to find. It's structured, and that it's a trusted site as well, meaning that you provide the details. Just like I think Will and Kate Daily became the #1 site for Kate. Why? Because not only is it because I posted every day, it's just I used sources and made sure that everything on that site was legitimate whenever I posted on that site. SEO, make sure that you don't have just one word out there, like a red dress. It's a red patterned floral summer dress. Does that make sense? You describe it as much as possible. Extra small, whatever it is. What's it made of? Cotton. Just describe it as much as possible. Especially, so that's where your SEO and your GEO comes in. Make sure the user experience is mobile. You support your customers, and then hopefully you're measuring your success, and you'll know what your conversions are. And other ideas here, you could just use different platforms. You always have one. I know people ask me, it's like, yeah, but there's 20 things out there. Which one do I post on? There's always one you post on, and the others are backups. Look at it that way. So there's always a platform you post on. You've got to use, so your web page is one thing. I consider that as your marketing tool, your main marketing tool, but you should always post at least on a Facebook or an Instagram as backups. Yes, yes, to all of them. And you can do that within WordPress. Yep. So in the blog area of WordPress, you can do that. All those different, yep. And that's where you can do it. And so there's tools out there too that you can use, like Hootsuite is one of them. And that's basically more to do with your social media. But WordPress, you can schedule things on that as to when to go live, and your web pages as well. You can do that within WordPress. So nothing stops you from saying, we're the best in the area. We're the best Italian restaurant. We're the best realtor company. Like nothing stops you from saying and using some of these adjectives as well. Or the top. Here's the top 10 reasons people use us. So there's nothing stopping you from doing things like having content that way so that you can get higher conversions. And then, like I said, whenever you have a Google business profile, get reviews straight away. And if you can get it in the double figures, that's the best way to go. And then list your products on on other websites as well, other platforms like Amazon and some others, especially if you can, and be mobile. Thank you very much.
All right, well, that concludes our workshop today. I'm going to give everyone online just about 1 minute. If you have a quick question, you can send it via chat and we will cover that. But other than that, we are done. Thank you all so much.